The NBA is in the era of the international superstar. International players currently lead the NBA in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. And the last 7 MVPs all have gone to non-American born players. The All-Star format was even changed this year to World versus USA teams instead of the traditional East versus West. But not everyone is loving the comparisons between international players and Americans. Kevin Durant shared his thoughts with our Vincent Goodwill on other countries catching up to Team USA, saying, quote, "I just don't like the talk around USA versus European style of how you approach the game. All I hear is AAU is destroying the game. The Euros do it right while the Americans do it wrong. It's a lot of bull with that. I can read between the lines on that. It's a shot at Black Americans. We're controlling the sport. They're tired of us controlling the sport. France is coming for you? Really? We smack them boys." End quote. Okay, Vince, you did this interview. Is Kevin Durant right?
I think when you're in Kevin Durant's shoes and his perspective as being a product of the AAU culture, at a time when AAU culture was different than what it is now, right, in the world of NIL and everything else, I consider things from his perspective, from the perspective of players that I've seen, that I've covered on an everyday basis, what they've said about the criticisms and critiques that have come to AAU culture, to their culture from people on the outside. And you have to take it as legitimate. It may not be true. It may not be racism per se in the way that we think of it, but they do take it personally as a shot, and they do look at the way that the international influx has happened since the Dream Team. That happened in 1992. All of the international superstars, by and large, post Arvydas Sabonis, post Drazen Petrovic, have come into the league since 1992, since 1996, and the NBA has welcomed that. Some black players feel like it is a shot. Some black players feel like there's people who want to see the world catch up to the U.S. and surpass the U.S. in the Olympic Games, in the World Cup. That's where they come from. That's their experience. That's what they say. I can't say that I experience it the same way. I see the language. I do see and understand that it's coded. So for Kevin Durant, who's been in the league for 17 or 18 years, who grew up in the AAU culture, that comes from a very genuine and real place.
Monica?
So this feels like a conversation that has been gurgling, if you will, for a while now. And I think for me, when I look at it, the NBA and Team USA is still dominant. We are in a sport which values and appreciates competition. I can appreciate this lens that KD sees it from, but the reality is we still got international superstars coming to play in the NBA. And so if the NBA and American basketball didn't still represent the pinnacle, those 7 MVPs or whatever the number is wouldn't even be there. Now, there's another piece for me that kind of stood out to this because I don't know where we're falling country of origin versus ethnicity, because Victor Wembanyama looks like a black athlete to me. And so that's another piece of the conversation. But I understand, like, growing up in DC, like in the AAU gyms the same time that KD was, that is something that is truly near and dear to a lot of athletes' hearts. And in fact, if AAU was so horrible, would it not have found a way to be diminished? That is certainly not the case. And so I think as a competitor, when you hear, oh, y'all are doing it wrong, your competition is coming, of course you take that personal. That is what has allowed KD to be who he is in this league, at seeing it through the lens of an ultra competitor. So I get it, but I would not say that America's got it wrong based on what we've been able to accomplish, and the NBA still representing the gold standard.
I love y'all, because y'all are so eloquent and articulate and all of that stuff, and I got it. This is where Stephen A. Smith comes in. And I'll say it for you, because I know how y'all feel. I'm going to say it. KD is 1,000% right. 1,000%. We ain't going to sugarcoat it. It ain't for y'all to do. I understand. You sit in this seat, you got to take some heat. White America, throw the heat in my direction, leave Vinny and Eminem alone. KD is right. 1,000%, okay? Now, before you want to sit up there and throw shade at Kevin Durant, let me remind America of who he is. He is a 2-time NBA champion. He is a 2-time NBA Finals MVP. He is a former league MVP. He is a 4-time scoring champion. And oh, by the way, he has 4 Olympic gold medals. 4. Okay, 2012, 2016, 2020, and just 2024. By the way, in those 4 Olympics, Kevin Durant has scored 518 points. No one else has scored over 400. No one. That's KD, one of the most decorated basketball players in history. Who, by the way, burner account or not, when he speaks, he is genuine, he is authentic, he is honest, he's a good dude. And I'm somebody he's taking shots at. And I'm telling you, it has never fazed me because I know he's a good brother. He's a good man, okay? And he just might be in his emotions from time to time, but he's a good brother. And there's no questioning him. When he says this, understand why he says this. It originates for why we wanted to globalize the brand to begin with. No doubt you, the NBA, who has obviously supported these players and always has, from Commissioner David Stern to Russ Granick, the former deputy commissioner, to Adam Silver, to Mark Tatum. These men have supported these brothers. But America hasn't always done so. America, when you talk about globalizing the sport, certainly money has everything to do with it, okay? Well, a lot to do with it. But the other part in globalizing your brand is whitening the sport too. Because when you've got the Luka Doncic of the world, the Dirk Nowitzkis before him, the Manu Ginobilis and others, because you didn't have enough white American players to excel on a level that could make the sport more profitable and what have you, and you had to rely on the brothers. It's why Magic Johnson was so important, because of that magnetic smile that invited you into the living room. But even still, you still paired him with Larry Bird to promote the sport. Michael Jordan came along and took it to another level. Kobe, in his undeniable brilliance and speaking 4 languages fluently and working on a 5th at the time of his passing, Mandarin for Christ. But it's a rarity. And so to globalize the sport, to have guys who were white European superstars is something that the NBA itself might have capitalized off of, lovingly so, because of profitability issues. But America and the world as a whole ingratiated itself with the NBA product because you saw folks who were white, even though they weren't from America. If there were a bunch of Cooper Flags running around, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But they're rare. They're rarities. Cooper Flag may be the best white dude since Larry Bird. I think he is. The brother's spectacular, okay? Dirk Nowitzki's from Germany, okay? I'm talking about white American born. That's a rarity in terms of superstar status in the United States of America when it comes to the sport of basketball. KD, and everybody knows it. And that's why they said what he said, but most people wouldn't say it. KD should be applauded for his bravery and his honesty with this particular subject and letting you know he ain't playing that. Not to mention the fact, reminding you that he, along with others, bust Europe's ass whenever you put them up against them, because they're letting you know, yo, this is who we are. Now, understand what that means. That's what makes the All-Star game, the USA versus the world, that much more appealing. Because you know that brothers are going to step on the court with that attitude, and they're going to show effort during that level of competition, because they ain't giving it to Europe, no matter how bad Europe wants it, okay? But Wembanyama and others, even though obviously he's not white, the point is they're letting you know Europe is coming, and they're willing to embarrass America if America doesn't step up. But KD, in pointing this stuff out, and pointing around the verbiage and highlighting how people gravitate to that, he's absolutely 1,000% right. Because if America has its druthers, it would rather not rely on the brothers. We see it with the marketing of the NFL. Who gets marketed? We see it with the marketing of Major League Baseball. Even though you do it with NBA players who are brothers, it's because you have no choice. Because they are clear-cut the greatest on the planet, and there is no wiggling around them. But KD was right. He's calling it out, And I stand 10 toes down, 1,000% with him and what he said, because he's telling the truth, okay? And it's our job to embrace it, especially me, more so than y'all, because I know this chair that I'm sitting in. You know what I'm saying? A hot seat that I'm going to take. I don't give a damn. The man is right, and it's my job to say so. And that's what I'm saying. 1,000% he is correct.
I think there are criticisms that you can make about the grassroots culture in AAU basketball, how maybe the players today aren't being taught, maybe they're being coached and pushed through. But I think what the root of Kevin Durant's point is that system has opened the doors for a lot of kids to get through and get to places that they would not have gotten to otherwise. And then when they hear the NBA is too black, when they hear the NBA is too cultured, when they hear
That's right.
criticism, and even if it comes from a few bad actors, even if it comes from the Twitters of the world, the Instagrams of the world, the people who should not have a place in the conversation, those ears, those eyes, they absorb that. And you got to see a little bit of it at All-Star for a second, Stephen A. LeBron and KD, they were saying stuff super coded about, I'm going to keep my opinion to myself on this. They were saying that in relation to the format, and KD and Stephen A. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just knew what they meant, and they just weren't going to say it.
Damn it, we all know what they meant. All of us, we know it. If you black, you know what the hell they were saying. All right? Damn it, if you white, you know what they were alluding to. We ain't apologizing for it. Listen, it's not their job to bring that kind of heat. Yeah, to bring it up and to point it out, fine. Everybody doesn't have to be as candid as Kevin Durant was as a basketball player. That's why I applaud him for doing so. But the rest is up to people like us, mainly me. I'm backing them 100%. And let me say this, stop the presses, don't faint. Let's take a moment to pay homage to LeBron James. Because here's the reality. This man has been under a microscope since he entered the National Basketball Association.
Oh, that's a fact.
And it is undeniable that there were an abundance of people, if not rooting for his failure, certainly not rooting for him to be the iconic global basketball figure that he is. He knew it. He knew about Magic. He knew about Jordan. He knew about Kobe. To a lesser degree about Shaq, who's the gentle giant, and big Aristotle, and you know, Santa Claus and all of this other stuff. He knew about that and embraced the responsibility and has conducted himself pristinely in terms of his off-the-court behavior and his on-court performance spanning decades. He carried that mantle the way it's supposed to be carried. But what America did was say, we want you to be like him. And what Kevin Durant is saying is, we don't all have to be LeBron to be as great. We don't all have to be Steph Curry to be as great. We are a mosaic as a people. We come in various shapes and sizes and even color. The bottom line is we are who the hell we are. It ain't Europe, it's us. Stop that nonsense. And I applaud him for bringing that up. Now it's our job to back him up 1,000%. And to show us that we support that brother telling the truth. This is one of the most decorated basketball players in history, globally. Kevin Durant. It's our job to back him up on this one. And he has my unwavering support on this. 10 toes down. The brother was telling the truth. Period. Period.
All right, thanks, Stephen A. Coming up here on First Take, Jaylen Brown has had an MVP caliber season so far. If he happens to win the trophy, would we look at his career better than that of his teammate Jason Tatum, maybe? This is about to get good, you know that. And plus, the